Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I'm Brian Hansen. I'm the Vice President of Studies here at the Chicago Council on Global Affairs, and I'm delighted to have you here this evening with us. A few housekeeping points. This talk will be live streamed, and it is on the record. If you're interested in seeing it again later, it'll be archived at the Council's website. I encourage you to use social media during the event, but ask that you silence your phone when you do so. For nearly a century, the Council on Global Affairs has provided an independent, nonpartisan platform for a variety of different perspectives to promote deeper global understanding and active U.S. engagement in the world. We convene leading global voices, conduct independent research, and engage the public on critical global issues. The views expressed by individuals here are the views of them and do not represent the institutional positions or views of the Council. If you have your calendar out while you're silencing your phone, I want to just call your attention to two events that we're having next week that should be really terrific. On Tuesday, December 13th, Robert Pape, Professor of Political Science at the University of Chicago, and Thomas Wuchta, Head of Transnational Threats from the OSCE, will be here, and they'll be speaking on lessons learned from Europe on countering violent extremism. And then the next night, Wednesday of next week, December 14th, Jeffrey Garten, who's an author and Dean Emeritus of the Yale School of Management, is going to be in conversation with the Financial Times' Ed Luce, and they're going to be talking about growing political divisions and anti-globalist sentiments in the world today. Tonight, we're very honored to have the 8th annual Dr. Scholl Foundation Lecture on U.S.-China Relations. I want to start off just by making a special thank you to Pam Scholl. Pam is the president of the Scholl Foundation, a member of the Council's board. She unfortunately isn't able to be here tonight, but we're very grateful to Pam and the foundation for making this event possible. The Dr. Scholl Foundation has been a longtime supporter of the Council's programming on China, and we've been delighted to host leading thinkers including Susan Schwab, Wang Zhizhi, Hank Paulson, and last year Yao Yang. And this year, we're very pleased to welcome Dr. Victor Yang, who is the 4th Scholl Fellow and is going to talk about the Chinese economy from the perspective of public opinion and entrepreneurship. Dr. Yang is the founder and chairman of Dataway Horizon, which is a leading public policy and data intelligence firm in China. It's also the partner organization for our annual survey, annual foreign policy survey that's done in the U.S. and Dataway Horizon is the partner that does the Chinese part of the survey. This was just released on Thursday of last week and is available on our website. I encourage you to go take a look at it. It's very interesting. In addition, through his work, Dr. Yuan has focused on shedding light on priorities and opinions of the growing middle class in China, as well as the next generation. As I've gotten to know him over the course of this last week and a half, I've also seen that his personal story is one of relentless entrepreneurship and innovation, and you get a chance to hear a little bit about that tonight when he talks. For the last week and a half, as the Scholl Fellow, he has been meeting with business leaders, students, cultural organizations, and other civic organizations in Chicago. He's been very busy getting to know Chicago and people here. And I know, having participated in some of those events and hearing from others, that people have been very impressed and captivated by Victor and his story. A couple things just to close on as I introduce him. As I mentioned, 24 years of experience in public opinion and data analysis. In addition to that work, he serves as president of the Horizon Center of Youth Entrepreneurship for Society. That organization cultivates entrepreneurship and a culture of philanthropy among Chinese youth. He's published more than 40 books. He's followed on social media in China by over 7 million followers. So I hope if he takes your picture and tweets it, you'll be famous in China. He holds degrees from Southwest University of Political Science and Law, the Kennedy School at Harvard University, and Peking University as well. I'll return after Victor's talk to moderate the question and answer. Now please join me in welcoming Dr. Victor Yuan, the 2016 Dr. Scholl Visiting Fellow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. And also, I'm so grateful to have you guys come to listen to my, I would say, not presentation, is really a personal story. I'm trying to more specify my career experience in the past 24 years, and especially when I resigned from the government, because that's quite, I think, a reflector, the picture of a professional in China. You're working outside of the system, but you try to develop the kind of independent information sources, powerhouses to support or provide the reference for the decision-making from the business community to the policy community. Actually, you'll see this picture. That's just at the start of my entrepreneurship. At that time, I still have a pretty good hair and everything. I work very hard because I'm not mentioning the job, the contents. I'm just talking about the startup 24 years in China. That means what? Just like my parents basically, reject my idea to do a business, because at that time, you working at the government is pretty, guaranteed, and we don't have a kind of social security coverage like today in China. At that time, only the government people, you working at the government will be guaranteed, will be secured. And when you're doing your own startup, that means you give up all that safety net, and they choose to do something without any guarantee from anybody. And we don't have angel investment at that time. We don't have a so-called policy, encouraging policy for entrepreneurship at that time. So basically, my thinking is that if someday I become a failure of my business, and especially if I got a pretty serious sick, the only thing is waiting for me is this, because basically I cannot pay for the hearing for my disease. So, but I still decided to start my business. The reason is that at that time, my personal mission, or I feel my life meaning, is to do something I really want to do. Especially before my entrepreneurship, I working for the Minister of Justice. I write a majority of a report. This guy read to others. But the problem is that when he said, and he often said, everybody think. But I asked, we even never ask one person why we always said everybody think. He said, well, we don't need to do that, because basically we represent people. We know what's the substantial interest of people, so we can say that. We have the privilege to say that. And he also asked me, can you prove nobody think about that? So I tried to do a kind of business, or to do a kind of work to reflect at any specific policy, any specific issue, people would have someone agree or disagree, or somebody will hold a kind of a neutral idea. So that's why I started from the job of recruit the data. And that's the only way that if I can do a sampling survey, that's a kind of a controllable work. I can do the sample, I can do the sampling, I can do the interview. If I only want to get the data from the government, which is disclose the state safety, state secret. So that's would be a problem. If I doing a sampling survey, there will be kind of self-run job. It's without any disclosure of a government secret. So that's why I started from that side. Actually, by the training, I was a lawyer. I'm not really got too much sense about how to do the data analysis, how to do the data work. So basically, first I study books. I mostly kind of a methodology will pick up from the textbook. And also I got a very good partner from the United States. At that time, it's a Rob Starch Worldwide, one of the leading polling firm in the United States. At that time, Gallup, Roper, and Harris. So I really learned a lot from my colleagues from the Roper, and how to imitate every questionnaire, how to develop the outline, how to conduct, as a moderator of focus groups. I start from everything. Actually, before that, I cannot really speak in English. I spent 17 years to study English, but I never can really use it. So then when I started my business, I only spent about half a year. I can use English as a working language. That's basically, I need to make it for life. So then you have to use English to talk, to write a fax, to write a report, to write an outline, and get the agreement from our American partners. So that helped me to get into how to use English and how to understand the professional, there's a training, there's a professional skill from my American partners. In the past 24 years, basically we go through the 3 stages. The first stage, it's cost around 8 to 10 years. So basically we focus on the market research and public opinion polling. What's the meaning of the work? That's basically we spend more time to develop the public opinion polling on the social issues. Many American friends ask me, in China you don't have an election, or why you need those polling. Yeah, we don't have the election like in the United States, but we do have the many social issues and also the policy issues. Before, these policy issues we never needed to ask the voice, the answers from the people. We are the first independent public opinion polling firm in China. We start to ask the question if people really feel safe stay in the city. We ask people if you are, what's your feeling about the price of those commodities, and we call this tolerance to the inflation in the urban or in the city. We also ask people's feeling about the corruption, ask about if the people, what kind of things you really believe in. You believe in God, or believe in Buddha, or believe in what kind of things. We also ask people in 2002, we even can ask people, if you are a free voter, you will vote this guy as a mayor for your city. The result is very interesting because about half of the Chinese cities may haven't got enough support. It's much less than the 50% support rate. So that's the first time the high-ranking leaders know, these guys they're selected as a mayor of city is not good enough. And I still remember some of the mayors, they got the call from the journalists that say, look, there's independent polling say that you not got enough support rate. And this guy said, well, I don't need to listen to people say it. I just need to listen to what the leader said, that's enough. So then his answer was published by media. And immediately these guys, was offend somebody, say, okay, nowadays we need you guys to listen to what the leader said and also needed to listen to what the people said. So that's why today we come to a new stage that basically there's the government report, all the government leaders. So we provide a service, say, if the people really satisfied with the government department we did. So we do the polling and assessment about the performance of the Bureau of Tax, the Bureau of Industry and Commerce, the Bureau of Civil Affairs, and also all kinds of bureaus. In Beijing, there's around 76 different bureaus and offices. And all the cities have an annual assessment by us and give the result. The result was occupied 30% of the weight of their total performance scoring. That means if you are not got enough, high enough the scores, that's what impacted your bonus monthly. And also impacted the opportunity to be promoted, as an official, especially for this at the bottom 10% of the departments. The head of this department will lose the opportunity to be promoted soon. So, and now we are developed in the new stage. The stage is basically the polling data is not enough, because polling data is basically report data. Report data is you report to me, but not all the time it's true. And we need to gather more behavioral data, which is mainly data from the internet. And we get the data from the credit data from the bank and other international, other financial instruments. And we have the data for e-commerce. We have the data from the we have many CCTV cameras all around the street. We also have those data as visual data to have the analysis and help to figure out the problem, if the problem was be fine enough, quick enough, or was be solved on time enough. So the Horizons will develop a more like big data firm. The big data firm will help to find the issues and also deliver the issues to the government department, and also we monitor what's their response to the issues. And if their response on time enough, they will get a pretty good score. If their response is not on time enough, there was a bad score. So now the system is not only the opinion result from the public, but also about the performance result. So that's a weight was increased the one weight, the second weight. So then we started the third weight. Is about how if your budget is used reasonable enough. So we also look at about the effectiveness of the money, the spend, and according to budget. The budget will be used properly and effectively, and we'll check about if the money was used in the place according to what you said, and also if the people benefit from the budget. There really was a benefit at that amount of money, and also amount based on you promised the goal before. So this kind of like a budget data management, which is quite effectively change the situation. It's about how much money should be spent, which kind of area must you spend money, and if the money would be used properly and efficiently. So in this way, we developed a pretty new business way that is not only a public opinion polling firm, is become a multi-sourced, the data-based, intelligent research firm. I would say why we call it intelligently, because data itself cannot really mean the solution. And the solution itself doesn't mean really be used properly. So we develop data, we recruit data, and also we do the service design, help you to understand the data better and design the solutions targeted at a specific problem. And also we work together with a team of government, also a team of the business team, and help you to realize that solution, which means during your action, we pick up more thoughts and more such information to improve the solution. So it's what we call action research. We do an action, we do research. We use research targeted at action. So it's not like before we just deliver a report to you and I say, I give you a report, you give me money. And now we give you a report. After that, I will give you a design. After that, we involve in your action. And during action, I will provide this further research. So that's gradually we have the ability to promise that our research, our data work is not only give you a report, is to give you a way how to effectively solve the problem. We are not only, because we have the experience that when I just started this startup business, the key issue is that people do not really understand the meaning and the value of market research, of the public opinion polling, of those data. So that's why I spend a lot of time to tell the people or share with people, educate people to understand the meaning. So the first like 3-4 years, we got no any revenue. So basically, we find any kinds of money, but put money into to solve the to do kind of a very philanthropical work, because basically without any income. But at that time, we get a very good support from the philanthropical foundations like the Ford Foundation, like Rockefeller Foundation, the Asia Foundation, and also some United Nations organizations give a pretty good support. So let us get a chance to have the resource to continue our work. And also at the same time, we get a very good support from this the people I never known before. They all just appreciate our work, so they give us money to do the job. So I think the education, if we do kind of a very pioneering work, education is very important. You need to let people to understand those very pioneering job, and then we'll get more sympathy to you and get more people would involve in this kind of job. So for that reason, and I think it's not only in the data area. In the many area, we need that the young people, the people at a very young age, they get a chance to understand many pioneering concepts and ideas. They need to involve in that at the early stage. It is in Chinese universities, we have a pretty big number of the students in the university. Every year we can have about 7 million new students will come into universities. But the education itself is quite isolated. So many times the idea is not really consistent with what the society needs. And in that sense, start from my own startup, I gradually think about it must be very important to develop relations with the students in the campus. So 10 years ago, I started develop the campaigns we call the Black Apple, so which is initiated by the YES, Youth Entrepreneurship for Society, and that is NGO. The NGO was at the beginning was supported by the Horizon. So the idea is that we encourage the students to think about what kind of social service you can do for the society, and that is also important because we have the young generation, the single kid generation, and the single kid generation when they grew up, so basically they always be served by all the family member, and they don't have the sense to serve other people. So our campaign was basically encourage you think about to serve other people with a new methodology, with new technology, with a new way. So that's every year we get more than like 1,000 projects come. That's basically the student, the young people themselves think about want to do something and serve some people, and organized as a philanthropical team. And you can apply for a small amount of money from YES, from the Black Apple campaign. And we give like $1,000 to $10,000 for each. And every year I raise around like 7 million renminbi yuan to support their job. We keep doing that for 10 years. And up to now, there's around 1 million young people have involved in our campaign mobilization projects and also, service job. And so far, the YES and Black Apple is one of the most important philanthropic branding in Chinese universities. Actually, some of those students are now studying in the United States and studying in Japan and studying in the European countries. They also bring our brand to these countries. So we have around more than 50 projects and teams distributed in these countries. And for this Black Apple campaign, we created many interesting things how to find money. For example, this way is basically we call find money and give money. How find a specific amount of money and give out the specific amount of money. So it means we remain zero money at our the NGO, and we give all the money out. But the way is basically first we recruit the item, recruit some artworks and some souvenirs from the young people, and then we have a conference and a meeting, and we have the auction on site and sort it out. And then we got the money bank, and we have those philanthropic projects on site that do a roadshow. And the people inside decide how much money give to that team. So after that conference, we got the money, we give out the money. And this kind of activity become quite hot in the city and also at the campus. And also this methodology, the young people, they got this methodology and they know how to use the methodology. And we recruit many the famous entrepreneurs, investors that doing as a mentor. And we encourage the students doing a one-day assistant to these mentors. And every year we have several thousands of there's a one-day assistant working with these mentors. And sometimes those intern projects even powerful than like 2 months or 3 months interns, because if you with quite important investor, the fundraising, the leader of the investment banker, you get more chance to contact different people and watching what his how he's doing negotiation and what's his typical way deal with relation with the employee and with his partners. So that is kind of a high-ranking interns. Just a one day, but give them very good opportunity to understand what real leadership is. So we start from the ways that the young people have the sense of doing the service. At the same time, once you got more that kind of experience, that's also the good precondition that you can consider start to do the startup or to the entrepreneurship. Once you're doing the entrepreneurship, and we can consider to select some projects to give the angel fund investment, and also you can invite you to come to our incubator. And so far we have in the past 5 years, that's 5 years ago, I started to doing so-called PEXAS. That is basically angel fund and also angel service. That's for the youth startup projects. In the past 5 years, I have invested in 326 projects. All these projects so far are doing pretty well, and 1/3 of these projects get the next round of investment. But it's still not enough, because we look at these projects in China, the young startup projects in China, many times without enough the new and high technology, and also without not enough innovative, creative ideas. So that's why we also now the broader scope of how to find these projects. So we not only find projects in China, but also find projects from the United States, from Japan, from Germany, from Indonesia, and from South Korea, and from many other countries. This year, our campaign was cover around 16 countries. And recently, the 15th, December 15th will be the final day to select the 50 projects we will do the annual investment. These projects mostly come from the other country. So this is some of those brands we are invested in the past 5 years, and 90% of those the founder of these projects are was born in 1980s, 90s, so they are pretty young. If you check about what kind of categories we are mostly invested in, we felt that now it's very important that we need to work for the young generation. We are very much interested in the investors projects targeted at the young generation, target a very specific group. This group including like LGBT group, and before in China you never can think of that people can provide a specific service for LGBT. But usually LGBT is occupied 10% of total population. In China, that means a population like a Japanese population size, so which is pretty big. You only consider like a lesbian and a gay, that means almost about the total population for France. So each subgroup you need to consider. Develop a very specific and a refined service and products for that group. There will be big enough market. So now we have got more projects that target this new consumption, new so-called new service, target at a specific group. And also, we encourage, provide this design, provide this R&D with a new technology, and a new material technology, new IT technology, and a new eco or environmental technology. And because of the young generation, they are single kid. The single kid is quite different because at my age, we don't have enough middle class. We don't have enough because only like 20% of the total population at my age, they belong to the middle class. But the start from those kids was born in 1980s. That means because they are single kid, even you are living a rural family, 66 people will just raise one kid, single kid. So the family is rural, maybe it's a low class, but they can raise the kids as a middle class kids. So that's in China was started from 1980 and 1990s. All the kids, they are middle class kids. So we call them new middle class. The new middle class so far, the size is around 400 million. So basically, we are faced with the situation that those kids, there was a very different culture, even several years. For example, was born in 1990s, they basically different was born in 1980s. And actually, those kids was born in 1995. They see them are different with those kids was born in 1992. Which means each group, each segmentation, they require different service and a different symbolic system. So that's why creative service become more valuable in China. So that's why we need more new IP, intellectual properties. So that's why we also invest in those new animation projects and a new video playing projects. We invest in those different so creative projects. But because we need all these new things, I believe the new business process become more meaningful because each module of the new process must be re-innovated. The reason is that only you're doing re-innovated, then you got to provide the new and efficient and a quick, short period, and a new so-called quick fashion service. And then you can support the front desk innovation will be realized. So that's why we also invest in those the data company, the logistic company, the new marketing company, the HR training company. So that's the so-called front desk, media desk, and behind desk. All these areas become meaningful for us to do the early stage investment. And also we are how we can provide a special space to incubate all this different business. So in the past 5 years, we developed around 350,000 square meters as an entrepreneurship space to let this company will stay at our space. We provide a privilege policy. We provide the angel investment and also provide some other industry resource to support those companies can go in quicker compared to other projects. Actually, personally, I'm a person is not like a very typical business person. Just like I ask some Republicans, I ask them, what kind of policy orientation you can predict about President-elect Trump. They said, sorry, I cannot do that because, I'm a typical Republican, but Trump is not a typical Republican, president. So I'm a Chinese. To some degree, I'm not a typical Chinese because many of Chinese, you listen to what your parents required, and you do a job very, stably, and sometimes you only focus on one thing to do. But I have many dreams I want to realize. How can I realize that if I can get enough resource to support? So the first, I define myself as a business person. Once you become a business person, you got enough money to support your other dreams. But I'm not a typical business person because the business is not my goal. It's not my life goal. When I was a 7 years boy, my dream is to be a first Chinese person to, visit every country of the world. So far, I had visited 121, but still not enough. 74 remained. I haven't visited, but they will be accomplished in the coming 5 years. And I broadcasting my messages about this global visit, and every time I recruit about 20 companies, 20 partners come. They just come from the online. They come with us, with me, and we'll go to visit different countries. And the beginning of next year, which is 2017, my plan to visit a group of Central American countries. Like I spend a couple of days in one country and I go through like 10 countries. So that's a typical way. How can I visit, finish my, realize my dream of a global visit. At the same time, I'm a very, I'm a very good eater, I want to eat all kinds of good foods. I'm not the typical Chinese, because typical Chinese, if you come to the United States, they spend 2 days, the third day say, look, we need to find a Chinese restaurant. I never really think of that, because I always believe that any country with the best food there. So I go to Cuba, I find a very good Cuba food. I visit Kenya, I find a very good Kenya food. And here, United States, each city with the best food. So that's why I not only eat the food, but also try to find the best part of the food and innovate as a new food. Recently, I developed my own cooking show and basically share with the young people how to cook use a new way to cook a new Chinese food. The new Chinese food is basically with all the flavor from the different countries. I write a book. Actually, it's not typical because I have the hobby to write one book one day. I keep doing that for 30 years. And then that's become a kind of a hobby. If today I haven't write one article, that's just I lost one sleep, today. So I keep doing that, then we'll edit, this article as a book. So that's why I can publish more than 40 books, because I already have all these articles there. And I give the articles to my clients, and then use that as a tool as a gift to my clients that's lobby you, I'm a good intellectual. So you need to work together with me and give me your deal. That's also a good way to develop the business. Of course, social media is another way. But social media, the messages I can give to the social media sometimes is video or the audio. But I let my assistant to copy what I'm talking about, then turns to be an article. The article will be edited as a book, and the book as a gift to my clients. So it seems like I do many things. But actually, one thing which is substantially is done by myself, which is also my personal preference. Study hard from all different people, and learn the things from the people from the different country, from different culture. I learn very hardly, and it turns to be a kind of intellectual product or intellectual service to my business clients or government clients or my working partners. So use that way to try to accumulate or cultivate our credit as an intellectual service provider. Chinese already give many products, especially cheap products, to the people all over the world. But so far, I don't think China's really win enough the trust or the kind of respect from the other culture about the new intellectual service. So that's my final dream, that is try to work hard, study hard, and learn hard from all of you, and then maybe I can reorganize, restructure, and innovate as a kind of good intellectual service to the more people. Start from those organizations, our client in China, and gradually we to the One Belt, One Road countries, and to many other clients distributed in other countries. It's not only for business, for money making, it's also for fun and for the interesting dream, which is basically started from my 7 years old as a visitor. Understand that the other country is not only physically, but also intellectually and psychologically. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Terrific. Thank you for that. We now have an opportunity for a discussion. There are microphones that we brought to you. I remind you that we're live streaming, so please wait for the microphone to come. We've got a question right here in the front row so that the people on the stream can hear you as well.
Well, thank you very much for that. I wanted to ask you about the challenges of polling in China. I know in the United States, one of the great challenges decades ago was how do you reach people, for example, who didn't have phones? And now it's sort of a challenge again as people get rid of their landlines. China's obviously much bigger. How do you get a representative sample? How can you say what sort of the Chinese are thinking about something, given the far reaches and the numbers?
Thank you, Phil, for your technical and professional question. To us, it's a little bit easier because we start from the face-to-face interview. Actually, at the first 5-6 years, we do all the interview with a face-to-face as a door knock. At that time, we still have not enough fixed phone. We don't have enough phone. So basically, because we are afraid of someone not be interviewed. So we have the map of all the communities and with all the number of household. So we randomly draw the sample household out. Then we knock the door and we use the sampling form, basically it's a Kishi form, to figure out who will be interviewed. So later we developed a way is a so-called closest birthday way. Who is the, your birthday would be closest, would be the person will be interviewed. So rather than sample draw out the sample household, then we randomly figure out which family member will be interviewed. We use that way to do interview. So basically, face-to-face interview will cover all the families. But later we have the problem is that because for this, we got a more community was developed, especially for this community only within the rich people. You got no chance to access to the community. You cannot, you basically cannot in a big gap. So that's why the phone call interview was developed. And currently, the majority of those interviews was done by the phone call interview. But we still keep the part of those face-to-face, the door-to-door interview, especially consider this family without a fixed phone. Actually, now we develop more so-called influential polling. So influential polling, the consideration is different with representative polling. The polling was basically targeted at the more influential group. For example, when we're working for the fashionable company. So we only need to find those people in a big city and a very active opinion leader online or offline. So these people would be our interviewee. Because basically, if they can accept the project scalably, so then we can project the product will be accepted by the rest of the people. That's just a matter of time delay. So the influential study would help us very much about for this pioneering projects, pioneering policy, or pioneering new concept service. That's the way. In that way, you need to figure out who are defined as who are the most influential group. Those groups will get a priority to be interviewed. So then we also use a more way of a focus group, especially online focus group. And then there's a more so-called interactive interview. The interactive interview is assume that the traditional polling is not strong enough because the traditional polling only interview with the stranger. But actually, stranger not answered all the questions, especially for Chinese. Chinese very much differentiate so-called as a stranger or the familiar. If they are not familiar enough, they will not tell you everything. So the interactive way would be basically we got 1 month to do interview. The first 10 days were basically regarded as a stranger. We got messages from you, but we know that's just a part of the message. The middle 10 days was regarded as a semi-familiar. So then we got some messages were different with the first 10 days. And the rest 10 days were regarded as a familiar. So then we get some other messages. We combine all the messages together as a more complete message and information from you. So this we call the interactive message way. But that's why it would be relatively easily be done online. and within our WeChat group. So this technology will help us to improve our research way.
Very good. Yes, right here in the second row, please.
Thank you, Dr. Yuan, for the wonderful talk. I'm interested in your comment on the Chinese millennial generation you talk about just now. And you're saying the majority of the millennial kids born in the 80s and 90s belong to the middle class, and no matter where they come from. And I was wondering, what are the several key trends you have observed from the portfolio companies you've invested that you showed in the presentation? Like, what are the few big trends that you have observed about this cohort of younger people? And how are they really revolutionize the Chinese business environment? And what are the big regional variations of these kids? And I know coastal regions in China are developing to very big blocks of regional differences. I'd be happy to hear about these differences about middle class kids.
Okay.
Thank you
very much. I want to mention some of those key trends. For example, there's a trend we call 信息对称性. Basically, they are very informative. The informative is not because they are really got many information. That's because of they are knowing how to using searching engine. They do anything very quickly because they're using searching. They're searching for everything. They're searching for the material for their paper writing, and they're searching material for their eating. They're searching material for anything they want to. They do shopping. So basically, intellectual for the young generation, that means book reading. That means searching. So we call it, they are the searching element. It's not anything like a traditional Chinese called a reader, 读书人. We don't have the book readers. We have the searcher. That's one thing. It's a very important. If your product, your policy, your information cannot be searched, then you lost the connection and lost the influence to these people. Second is a short period experience. So basically, because they are all on the phone, they use a cell phone. The cell phone is like a very inevitable tools for them to get information, get connected, get social, get friends, get all things. So because the information was too much, will come in soon and go out soon. So their sense of the mentally, the sense of the period has changed a lot. So that's why basically they cannot stand by. Those things can change so slowly. They don't like the parents always saying something. They don't like leaders or read the article and as all that way. They never really have any innovation ideas. They don't like so-called durable goods. They like always fast consumption goods. And also, commercially, that means durable goods died. Everything would become fast consumption goods, including car, even including the furniture, including, of course, also including about the discipline and the requirements from the professors, from teachers, and from the leaders. And also, the boss of the company become very innovative. And the boss cannot working as a before as a best boss must know many things, new things. They work together, play together with them. So that's a short period. And also there was a new sense of beauty. So they symbolically then look at the product, they look at the behavior, and their ideas very innovative because they spend more time online. They spend more time to play game. The internet game was occupied the majority of time of 1990s. So the problem is that if you go through the internet, you go through the internet game, every level, you go through one level, next level, always see the new view, new rules, a new weapon, new decoration, and new wealth, all kinds of it's new. And the beauty of cosplay dominated the idea. And the problem is when they come to the Taobao online and all go to the shopping center, they cannot see this cosplay. There's not a cosplay style there. But in their mind, the cosplay is the most beautiful style. So the problem is that gives you the new opportunity that the cosplay has become most important, the source of inspiration about the design. And also, it's important that they have a new criteria of segmentation. And we will regard all them as a new generation. But actually, those kids was born in 1990s. They believe 1980s is too old. And it was born in like 1998. They believe that 1995 is too old. Because based on the internet game, each 1.5 years, one generation. So born in 1995 and it was born in 1998. That's a two generation. Okay, so you have two generations inside. That's basically the third generation. So if actually the internet game players, the programmers, they develop the different games for them. So that's why the beauty sense is different. When they buy the clues, they see the clues, they know this clues is for 1995, it's not for 1998. So that's, differentiate the different group. We call this there's a new definition of generations. So all this so-called new trends happen that's needed to re-innovate the market and also needed to re-innovate the service, including the public service.
Very good. Right here on this side in the second row, please.
Yes. Would you kindly share with us the typical form of your investment in all these companies? Are they in the nature of loans that get repaid back? Do you take majority equity positions? And how well do you thrive as they thrive economically? How do you make your decisions as far as how this investment is made, how these investments are made?
Okay. Thank you very much. Our investment is a more like early stage investment, especially we call the angel investment. It's not doing like the media level, the media term or the later term. So also we are not doing PE. So we are doing angel investment. So if we talk about angel investment, basically two things important. One thing is about what trends, what's the trendy, the project. Basically means in 2, 3, 4 years, what kind of projects will get more valued, right? So we need to predict what will happen. Second thing is we look at the experience of the team member. For the first criteria, which is relatively easy in China, because almost the majority of the new models will come from the United States. And if you check about the angel investor in the United States, they recently invested all this list. If you check about angellist.com, you can see the majority of those projects was invested by angel investors here. And you see all those, the list, the different new type, and many types never happened in China. But you find one case in China. Then because we are from the market research, we're doing market research. So we combine these two together. First, the new model appeared in the United States. Second, we are doing the market potentiality assessment. There was a good potentiality in Chinese market. So if these two factors come together, so this is a project we need an investor. So this is a meet with the trends. Second, we look at the team members, if they have the relevant experience. Maybe before you're working at an internet company, and you have pretty good performance as an employee, and all your teams. Some was a pretty good IT technology background, or you was a pretty good sales background. You have a good combination of the team. So if this project was a good potentiality and also was a good team we put together, they will be very good. Actually, the Horizon, Delaware Horizon, was developed a very good model. Very good model to test all the project. Well, basically, was a two axis. One axis is about market potentiality. Another axis about the power of a teamship. So all the project basically we put on this model. We can see this project basically with a two strengths, or with a one strength, or with a two weakness. So then it help us to do a very quick assessment about this project. Of course, we spent a long time to do some so-called pre-investment mentorship. So that means not only we check about the project and doing diligent investigation, we also spend like 6, 5, 4, 3 months. We stay together with this team to check about if this team really can realize what they said or what they promised. So we call it the before the investment, we provide a mentorship. We work together with them. So after that, we decided if we will invest or not. So basically, we developed that model, and we are very good at doing the very widespread mobilization. So every year, we're doing around 200 events nationwide. We're doing the small meeting, big meeting, medium-sized meeting, everywhere. So after that, after mobilization, those projects founders will come to us, apply for our mentorship first, so that we get a chance to have the first screen and then come to the second screen and the third screen. Usually the final screen is called a horse racing. That's quarterly. Each quarter was once. That's around 50 company will come to this circle. Every year was 200. But finally, we decided to invest in 50 to 80 projects every year.
Very good. Right over here, please.
Dr. Yuan, thank you for your sharing your experience. I have a question. With your polling and what is your relationship or the company's relationship with the government? Clearly, it seemed to me that they may not want you to find out what the peoples are thinking on certain topics. Have you received any resistance, approval, disapproval? I would appreciate your comment.
Thank you. The relationship with the government basically divided into 3 stages. The first stage, the government do nothing. And sometimes just come to us to see if we are a spy. Because basically they see the public opinion polling is a kind of intelligence. So at that time, we are doing this research and polling independently and released to media without any commission from government. And also many times without commission from anybody. But we try to work hard to get some sponsorship from some international foundation, UN organizations, and also some friend business persons. And they give us support. That's our first stage. The second stage, we got more media support. The media basically, they give us small money, and they find a sponsor as advertisement sponsor, and then they give a part of the money to us, and we are doing polling because they see the polling result as a data is very fashionable. So usually for that page, it was called accurate news with our data, was very good market value. So that's why they have very good advertisement. So at that time, the first or second stage, the government pay nothing. But the government gradually feel that the data is useful. And especially the data reflects something in the future. Some policy, when they come out, many people will criticize, but actually our data already shows that people don't like that policy. So that's why I come to the third stage. The third stage basically started from the 2005, around that time. But from that stage, the government department will start to do some commissions to us. And especially they're doing the first wave of the polling is like, they ask the international investor what's their feeling about the specific investment climate of a specific development zone, economic development, or the city. So most of the project will start from there. And then Greater Finance is very interesting. It's worth of doing that. So the project was expanded to more like a satisfaction study of the government service. And so far, the cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Tianjin, and Chongqing, they are the leading cities that they are giving more annual commissions to the company like us. And I will also get the commissions from the ministries, especially those ministries was focused on the people service. For example, from the level, Ministry of Level, and the Bureau of Tax, Ministry of Civil Affairs. So if their service relevant, directly relevant, targeted at people, so they got more that kind of service. And in many Chinese cities, they do face with pressures directly from the cities' residents. For example, we have the so-called limitation on the vehicle purchasing. We have a limitation about the house purchasing. But before they push that measures, they're always doing kind of public opinion polling first. And they want to know who would be the person against that, who the person will for that. And they try to figure out the policy measures would be majority will support that. So that's not only about the polling, that's also after polling, they want to improve their draft and then to poll again. And then they improve the draft again. So there was sometimes they spent several times to try to let the final version of the policy get the majority support. So this is called a pre-decision making projects. And after after service, the assessment, satisfaction study become the two big category of this government commission. But somebody will also suspect that if government really wanted the true data, as a company, my company was called Horizon. That means not above, not below. And in Chinese, it's called Lingdian, means not positive, not negative. So that's basically, we try to keep it neutral. Basically, sometimes we had a government say, you cannot report that data. Yes, because your clients, I will do that. But if you want me to change the data, change the number, I will don't do that. One minister had called me and said, look, I'm not satisfied with one unit, their score is too low. Can you adjust that? I answered that, no, I cannot do that. I can lose that business, but I can lose my credit. And this guy has become quite angry. And he said, many times I give a call. It's just my, it's my employees that give a call. Anybody give me face. But I directly give you a call, but they don't give me a face. I said, yes, I cannot give you a face because I give you a face. I lost my, in Chinese, I lost my face. Face and a face. And interestingly, in half an hour, he called me back and said, look, in many years, I never met a guy that say things like that to me. I decided still give a deal to you and give it to you for 3 years. And you must be very careful because I will punish you if your work is not reach a high criteria because now you're not giving me a face. So I will challenge your face. So, but it's good because the test to my job, to my team's job is not only my responsibility sense, is also the tough challenge from the clients. So that's help my team, the job, the quality will become better.
Very good. We've got one question right here, third row, please.
袁老师你好 Thank you for being here. I watched your show growing up, 头脑风暴, Brainstorm.
That's reminded me I'm older.
Maybe I'm just pretty young. So you are really deep into, you're the head of a polling company. You're really deep into entertainment, education, business. And so I'm going to go ahead and argue nobody knows better about China overall than you, which makes you the expert of China. So here's my very extreme scenario question. If all our Chinese people, the 1.4 billion people, will come together and we say, you have our full support for 1 year, including Chairman Xi, right? So, and you can do anything, you have our whole support. And what would you do in this 1 year, just for one specific project to set up the country for success in the decades to come? No pressure.
Okay. I'm doing big polling. Sorry, it's very hard to say, but really I'm doing a big polling. First, because you need to set up your agenda. But how can you decide your schedule and agenda? And you could assume I'm an elite. I'm a good talent. I'm a genius. I'm a very insightful. I know everything. I involve in so much, so I know everything. So that's why I can decide for people. Or sometimes because you have some good friends, and people was coming. Sometimes you believe you are very like a fair player, but actually everybody will be in a special social context. You have some specific type of friend around you, and it make you feel that you doing things like that way is fair, but actually you are not fair because many people are not in your circle, right? So that's why big polling is important. That lets you know if you check out all the interest group, if I check all there's a topic, there's an issue, the policy of people concerned about, I try to figure out, or I do my best, try to balance with a limited resource I can invest in, but which one will be in priority, and which one will be relatively, I can put later. So it's not only decided by me with my good mind, good inspiration, and mainly I think I need to follow the situation. I try to balance the maximum, the outcome, and for more people. So that's why the data itself, of course, is not only polling data. It's those data help me try to figure out a better solution as a 1 year, as a 1 year play. The time is short enough, but I try to maximum the outcome. So that's as someone knowing polling more, so that's what start from that. Of course, the result sometimes also was enter at there. So who would say, yes, you are doing a good job? It's not said by myself, or maybe it's not said by President Xi. Would it be said, if I got a majority or the more support from the public, that will be good.
Well, one of the things that we know is China is a very dynamic and fast-changing place. And I think that one of the things that you shared with us, both through your own story and the development of your businesses, is a tremendous insight into what's going on in China. And I think one of the great benefits of having the Scholl Fellowship here is that we have a chance to have that insight as well. So thank you very much, and please join me in thanking Victor for a fascinating talk.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody here.